right. Let's get started. I feel like Ready to Rumble might be trademarked, so I don't want to get in trouble later. So we will be firing off for today's AMA. As you've probably noticed, we do not have the one and only Frisky Fox with us this week. He is still traveling, but he will be back. However, I will just go ahead and throw out there because I can see that Blue is in the audience. I did see your question for Fox, and I also like your question for Fox. So we will get it in front of Fox for planned for next week's AMA when he's here. Just an FYI. But he's by far the right person for that question since it's duels. But other than that, I thought this week we would jump into some questions and then can do some updates at the end. But go ahead and roll into some questions. We've got some bangers this week. So we are going to go ahead and get started. I hope you're all prepared. First question. Thoughts on would the team consider using power tokens as gas on another Avox subnet, perhaps with only certain quests available? Magnus, thoughts?
Yeah, so I guess I'll start off and say that is definitely technically possible. I think you're kind of hinting at what Fox mentioned last week about side chains potentially inside of our subnet, where we could like maybe move a certain subset of different game features there. So yeah, we haven't really discussed that yet, but if things could definitely change, and Ava Labs is always coming out with new and exciting technology, so it's definitely possible. I don't know if we would go that route. I think Jules is probably the main token for that, but it's definitely in the realm of possibility.
Hey, Bowen, could I add to that too?
Absolutely not. No, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think like in addition to on the Avalanche ecosystem and another chain or shard or others, there's other languages out there as well. I was actually listening to Fox on a panel at the summit, and he was talking with somebody else that was launching a subnet with the language Move, which was really interesting. Some perks or advantages were expressed from that individual there. So in the same vein of this question, you never know down the line. Are there things immediately in the works for sharding or other chains or different languages? No, but we've also tried to always be on the forefront of innovation. So there could be opportunities for some things make sense to try out or lighten the load or pursue certain technologies, whether it's what was asked in this question here or some other possibilities out there or things that we don't even know about yet because new things are coming out in the space all the time. So really good question. I think in addition to Magnus's answer, I'd just say we're always going to try to be aware of the options and try to make the best experience long term with the setup.
Very nice. Can y'all hear me? There we go. Sorry, Discord lagged. Thank you. And that actually kind of also rolls into the next question, which is similar-ish and may kind of overlap the answer a little bit as well. Does the team have the ability to reduce gas cost further than dropping the bases or the base fee from the current value of 3 to 1 in reference to the current and possibly future case where Joule substantially increases in value relative to the rest of the economy? So not talking about, Gwei price or Gwei value, I guess is better, more accurate, but the actual gas value.
Yep, I can kick that one off, and I know others are likely going to have some answers to this as well. But yeah, so we do have the ability just within our kind of current setup to make some small tweaks. Like we can change the block gas limit. It's currently set at 25 million. We could bump it up to 30, but we would need to kind of do some stress testing to make sure the current hardware could handle that. And then we do have the ability to change the base fee. Like currently we're using it in Gwei because that's the most common way, which is like Wei is the smallest unit of measure, and then it's like gigawei. So we could drop it as low as 1 Wei. But I guess the reality is like everything else held constant, that if the price went up of Joule, the fee charged would go up. But that's if the demand and the supply is the same. But we could also essentially like supply more block space to change that equation, and the ways to do that would be looking at layer 2 solutions. And I know like Boba and Optimism, you guys are all familiar with Arbitrum. They're a layer 2 on top of Ethereum. That they've all seen pretty great results in kind of doing an optimistic roll-up approach, which gives you more block space on top of a very expensive, very crowded Ethereum network. And so if you kind of combine a layer 2 like optimistic roll-up with a chain that's already cheap, that could really help with gas fees. ZK is also very close on the horizon, which it's basically like you submit cryptographic proofs of transactions, and you kind of share fees. So it's similar to optimistic rollups, but it's more of a kind of like a cryptographic verification method as opposed to just kind of compressing data. So that would be an option as to like a layer 2. But also just within the subnet ecosystem, as if we've mentioned the past few weeks, we could do another blockchain inside of our subnet and maybe move certain game features there. And also L1 technology is improving. Ava Labs, I'm just constantly impressed with what they're doing with subnet tech and how they're optimizing things and trying out new databases. So I imagine the subnet technology will improve. They're also working on a cool project or releasing stuff constantly called HyperVM, where instead of the EVM, you kind of have some more kind of levers to pull and tune an EVM for performance. I know they've kind of like taken away the stuff that makes the EVM maybe not as optimal, and plugged in some new parts there to make it with the focus of being just very high performance. So we could look at writing our own custom VM as well. So there are a lot of options out there, and so before things DFK chain ever got close to having ridiculous gas fees like Ethereum, strictly due to upward price movement on the token, there's a lot we could do there, and then that's all. Also, just optimize our contracts more as well, which is probably the easiest route to go. But yeah, future is very bright in that regard, and there's a lot we can do. So yeah, and we'll definitely be monitoring that situation as well as things develop.
Thank you, Magnus.
That was. Yeah, I was going to say that was an incredible answer. I'm not going to add much to it. I would just say, like, even just hearing Magnus speak on the answer, I think we can honestly say that we have really intelligent people that care about the chain, how it performs, and the gas. We also have really good partners that Magnus and Fox and others are facing off with at Ava Labs, who are thinking about these things as well. And if we ever did get to any problem, really, especially with the technology on the subnet, where we felt like the current outcome was suboptimal, we've already seen a lot of adjustments in the technology, and we've felt like we've partnered in a lot of what is there today. So yeah, just wanted to echo what Magnus was saying, and not only those words, but the entire team at Ava Labs is focused on identifying some of these problems early and getting solutions. So we're pretty positive in the experience being good long term with the adjustments we can make if necessary.
For sure. Let's see. Next question. Is there any interest or new thoughts on revisiting the growth of the hero population? Hubert, thoughts?
Yeah. So, this has been a topic in the past. We had that RFC asking if people would be open to the concept of increasing cooldown timers. At the time, that vote did not pass, so we opted to not, pursue like looking into changing that or coming up with solutions for doing that. However, I mean, if there was enough interest in like now or in the future from the community to do that, and we had enough posts on like the talk site or enough upvotes on a specific topic, that could be something that we'd revisit. In addition to those things, we have been talking about different new burn mechanics that we could add, and that is something that is on our radar. At the moment, it's not something that would be coming out like next week or anything like that, but it is something that we are talking about fairly regularly in our tokenomics discussions and game committee discussions. So I don't have anything specific to say, but I guess I just we do listen to the community, so do want to make sure that you guys do know that if there is kind of a big push for us to consider something, the talk site is there for you to use to help us be aware of that. And in the future, we do plan to have more burn mechanics that should help as well. So yeah, I think that answers that.
Yeah, if you want to see changes to existing stuff, talk site, get support for it. We're here to hear it. All right. Let's see. For the next question, SBD, you out there lurking? You ready? You prepared? The next question is a hard question. Can we see another yellow egg pet art teaser? We're all waiting. Oh, he said no, but then he dropped one anyway. For anybody listening to this later, it is pinned in the AMA voiceless chat, but I will also be we'll be sending that out on the DFK Twitter as well. So we have now seen the Hoot Blazer working name. Can we get Hoot Blazer, Hoot Laser? I can't remember the other names from Dodgeball, but it was great. Anyway, all right. The next question.
Taser might have been in there. Like, is it laser, blade, blazer, and then taser? I might be wrong.
Might have been. That might be right. Now I gotta watch Dodgeball. What a shame. What a shame. I do it for y'all. So the next question is actually also around eggs. There are two questions that kind of touch on similar topics, so I'm going to combine them. But if I rattle off too much, Hubert, just let me know, and I'll repeat. So the first part is the team happy with rarity and therefore supply of eggs since the release of level 10 quests? And you know what, actually, I'm going to pause there.
Yeah, at the moment, I think it's been okay. It is definitely something I've been looking at and considering with that. And I think the rest of the question kind of touches on that, so maybe I'll pause there so you can continue.
Yep, that'll work. So the other question that's on that same topic is it correct that the drop rate of tiers is lower than 200 times the drop rate of eggs?
That is something I have to go and look at the actual numbers. I think it's not always true, or it wouldn't always be true with like higher level heroes and stuff. So
Fair. So essentially, keeping that in mind, if the average egg comes with less than 200 tiers in that same time period, the number of eggs being found could not be hatched, theoretically, right? Ignoring existing tiers prior. So basically, the remainder of the question is, do we expect to have other utility for eggs in the future, such as crafting or required to hatch gold eggs or something like that? Or do we have thoughts on potentially lowering the egg drop rate to be closer to that 200 to 1 ratio, given that the use case of tiers could keep growing faster than the use case of eggs? I think I did that right.
Yeah, that's a good question, and good analysis there as well. I think that as far as like dropping the drop rates of eggs, that is something that we could do. We also have adjusted tiers in the past as well. So that, I guess that's a possibility, though also we are considering other uses for eggs kind of along those lines that were mentioned, or perhaps something else as well. There are a few different things we can do, but I think for now we're going to just be looking at it and monitoring the situation, and then kind of seeing, if it really starting to get out of hand in terms of the balance there. We definitely could make some adjustments.
Was that a small alpha drop that we may possibly potentially use eggs in crafting at some point?
I guess we'll see.
All right. Good question. So, the next question, let's see, I'm going to go ahead and snag this one, and then we're going to do something fun for a second. This question is around liquidity pools with non-fractionalized tokens. So eggs, bloaters, ragweed, pretty much any of the in-game tokens that are 0 decimal tokens. There we go. So as far as creating those pools, there can be some problems within the Uniswap system when creating pools with when creating LP tokens and withdrawing them with non-fractional items. So the question is, I guess, 2 parts primarily. The first part is thoughts on adding a warning message when creating LPs with non-fractional tokens to give people kind of a heads up of the potential problems they could run into. So any thoughts on that? I guess Beetle Dude, probably your domain primarily.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I think that's something that we could add. I know we just recently, I guess not too recently. Time has no meaning. I don't know when it happened, but we updated the trader UI. So the bones are all there for us to make additional updates. So that seems like a reasonable ask. It's something that we can look into. I can put it on the old list, as I've said before.
Nice. Thank you, Beetle. The second part of that question is thoughts on potentially incentivizing item pools with like raffle tickets or some other kind of, obviously not power token emissions system. Whoever. Hubert?
I guess I'll jump in on this and just mention that we're getting very close to having the Bazaar out, and a big part of the motivation for creating the Bazaar was to address this issue with the Uniswap DEX, where the non-fractional tokens could have some losses that occur just due to math errors. So rather than like incentivizing people putting more in, I think the Bazaar is intended to kind of shift the liquidity of those tokens over into the Bazaar, where that's not an issue over there. So I think rather than us like devising whole new systems to like increase usage of the DEX for those, that's what we're planning and doing, is more pushing people towards using the Bazaar for that.
Yes. Thank you, sir. All right. I hope you're ready. It is time for the Hubert Pop Quiz.
Uh-oh.
Thank you, Matty Pesk. All right. So, question number 1 on the Pop Quiz. The Clutch Rager. A double clutch berserker activates Living Rage and then basic attacks, making an assumption that Living Rage does, for this example, 15% additional damage because the number doesn't really matter. How much additional damage is the berserker doing, with clutch being the bonus 30% when below 30% health. Living Rage brings it down to 1 HP, and it has double clutch.
Silence. Sorry, I was trying to find my mute button, and I was also trying to look at all the stuff to make sure I was saying
Yeah,
the right thing.
I'm about to drop you a link to it as well, so that you've got it.
So yeah, I mean, clutch does stack, so there is the stacking effect happening there, and then with the, I believe it would also stack with the Berserker one because we haven't put limits on it. So I guess as far as right now, let's see, Living Rage, 50% numbers. I probably said numbers that I shouldn't have said just now, but yeah, with how we program it, I think it would be additive. So all the different percentages would add together to just like a single multiplier to the damage. So it'd be clutch plus Living Rage times the damage.
Nice. All right, next question on the pop quiz. There can only be one. A priest and a warrior are on the same team against a team with another warrior. The priest activates Mercy, making allies, his warrior, and the opponent's warrior unable to die for some duration. While Mercy is active, the warrior activates his Highlander skill, and the two immortal heroes must battle for all time. Does the game just never end?
All these fun edge cases. I think that we're gonna have to look at the way we program that to make sure that that doesn't happen. Either, I think we may have to just invalidate immortality in that case, because with the Highlander, they do need to get their heads cut off. So at least one of them anyway. So we'll work it out. One of them would die.
People are looking for every way to make unkillable warriors and then send them into Highlander. All right, last stand of the Sleeping Dragon. A monk has the capstone ability Sleeping Dragon and the elite trait Last Stand. With 21% of their health remaining, they receive an incoming blow that would bring them to 0 HP for the first time in that battle. Are both the trait and the skill activated simultaneously, or would one happen first and one later? Sleeping Dragon is the first time this hero would go to 0, ignore that damage, and Last Stand is first time the hero goes below 20%, become invulnerable.
Yes, that's another one that's going to depend on how we program the order of operations. I think we would likely, what makes sense to me when hearing that example is that we'd probably want to have the monk one happen first, which would mean that Last Stand would not trigger after that first hit, and then after that point, then Last Stand could trigger without any conflicts. But these type of conflicts, we will have to find them, and it's nice that you guys are pointing them out for us. Please keep doing that. And
I would bet Maddie and Wowie have a list by now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that would make sense, because then Sleeping Dragon would ignore it, and that you wouldn't go below 20%, so Last Stand wouldn't matter. Interesting. All right. The last one is possibly my favorite. A team consists of 3 Legionnaires, all with the skill Shield Wall. Shield Wall distributes damage dealt to individual allies evenly amongst all other allies. When 3 Legionnaires all have the skill active simultaneously, the math can get a little confusing. So an opponent successfully hits one of the Legionnaires for 9 damage. With 1 Legionnaire and 1 Shield Wall, it would become 3/3/3 to each Legionnaire. With 3 Shield Walls, does it become 1/1/1, 1/1/1, 1/1/1? And no, that's not binary. I'm going to pause there.
Yeah, that's a fun one. I wonder if we let it do that, if we'd get to a point where it would just round down to 0 and there'd be no damage. I think, how we would, these are all nice edge cases to point out. I think what we would have to do, and kind of what comes to my mind, because I'll point out these skills on the Legionnaire have not been programmed yet, but there's kind of just thinking to the board game Gloomhaven, which I like very, very much. they have kind of a different damage system where there's like just attack damage, and then there's something called suffer damage, and suffer damage can't be like affected by most things. I think this would be kind of the case where we do something kind of similar, where the first hit would be an attack damage, and then the distributed damage would then be kind of like suffer damage that ignores a lot of the same kind of triggers. But yeah, that's a tricky one, and we'll have to make sure that we consider that thoroughly when we go through it, because there would still be, we'd want to still apply defensive effects to that. The armor that the other heroes have would likely need to be applied, but maybe not. The Legionnaire already has its own armor applied before the attack actually goes through, so it's already like post defense damage. So I guess that's where I'm leaning, but we will have to solve that once we get to programming it.
Interesting. All right, so second part of that question is, so let's say for simplicity for the moment, the 9 becomes 3 broken over the Legionnaires. Does each instance of that trigger a riposte or retaliate chance if those heroes have it active? And I promise to do this. Oh, or if they have an archer subclass with flick shot.
Oh man. I think again, man, you guys are really identifying like all of them. I would say in my, just using the same example as before, I think the damage that is distributed is no longer considered an attack against those heroes. So it wouldn't trigger anything like a retaliate type of effect in my mind.
All right, one last add-on that was my own add-on. Sorry, I'm going to do this to you. So let's say on the other end, the attacking hero that did the 9 damage has toxic. Would the 3 instances of 3 damage to each Legionnaire also have a chance to proc toxic, or would that only be the initial attack on the first one?
I am going to go back to that same my same logic here. I think the attack is hitting the Legionnaire, and then the Legionnaire is just spreading damage himself. So I think the status effect would only impact the Legionnaire.
Nice. Thank you. Maddie has offered to do this weekly, and I hope he does. So, very much appreciated. That was our Hubert Pop Quiz of the week. Next question. This one is on updates around the current gas, which I will say it is a little bit lower today. Yay. But Fox had mentioned last week that we had taken advantage of a lot of the lower hanging fruit in terms of optimizations. So curious what the path is, what the next options are in terms of gas usage. Magnus, did you want to take that?
Yep, sure thing. I believe Fox may have mentioned that a lot of the lower hanging fruit in Quest Core specifically has been addressed. There are some more advanced things we're working on with changing how much data is stored on the blockchain and whatnot, which is going to take a little bit longer, but that's more impactful. And then as far as all the every single other contract, there might be a few, but we have I think 300 contracts at this point, and we can take a lot of the lessons we learned from these recent Quest Core refactors and the stuff we're working on now, and apply that to everything else on the chain. It may not seem just kind of doing these micro optimizations to all of these contracts would have a big impact, but with the way the gas works, and it's kind of exponential once you get to a certain point in terms of the gas auction, even just chopping out a couple % here and there can really add up, and I do think there's still a lot to be gleaned on that front. And then I guess outside of optimizing our contracts, I'll kind of refer to my other kind of like survey of scaling solutions and like L1 improvements earlier in the AMA. That would be kind of our next approach, either go sidechain or layer 2 or one of those other options. But yeah, I still think there's a lot of stuff we can do in our contracts where we're still storing more data on chain than we probably need to. And I know Hubert and I are constantly going back and forth about for new features, like how can we squeeze like one extra bit of data into like a different struct on the blockchain. And so there's a lot we can do there to really start splitting hairs and make things more efficient. But yeah, all else fails, there's scaling solutions we could look at as well.
Thank you, good sir. Next up, we got a question for Beetle Dude, who I think's gotten away with not talking yet, and that's unacceptable. No, I did make you talk earlier. Good.
Yeah, hold on a second.
But now we're gonna make you talk some more. Question about a quality of life fix on mobile, particularly in the trader, the like MetaMask pop-up confirmation. The close X does not work, which covers the confirm button. So for people trying to make trades one after the other, they have to wait for it to time out. Any thoughts on getting some eyes on that?
Sounds complicated, Bolon. Can you just handle it?
Definitely. It'll go well.
Just kidding. Yeah, no, I think we can take a look at that. I will get the details from you and start taking a look. How about that?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thanks.
Appreciate it. All right, let's see. This one's kind of a question for anybody, but I think Dreamer, if you want to kick it off, do you see the current price difference between Joule and Power tokens as problematic? And are there any long-term plans for Joule besides being used for gas and C-Joule?
Nice. So whenever we get like any questions with the P word in it, we just got to be really careful. So not financial advice. We're not speculating. There's no intention here, to impact any of that. So just saying that first. But if we go back to when we had the catastrophic event at the chain that shall not be named, and we wanted to find a good solution that had some other benefits, there was a restructuring of tokens, and one of those benefits was in the event that prices of any tokens relative to a previous date or to each other got really expensive, what is the implication? And we thought through that. And, for this conversation, I'll refer to like Jade and Crystal as like realm power tokens, and then as Joule is just Joule, if it's easier. So if Joule gets really expensive, there's not a lot of barriers to entry. We already talked a little bit about gas. We do have power-ups in play now. They're a newer thing. We're going to kind of adjust as needed as we go along, but there's not really an intention to change those a ton either. So one could argue, hey, maybe power-ups will get more and more expensive, which benefits people that already have those staked and kind of locked in. So there's a quote-unquote like benefit for being earlier on in development. What's the impact of the the realm specific power tokens of Jade and Crystal getting expensive? Well, then there's a lot more implications. You have more expensive to summon, maybe game features in the entry, and even in the bull market, there was not an adjustment on the summoning cost because a lot of folks are relying on some of these things being either or less movable or changeable, because it kind of sets in motion the overall secondary prices that people rely on that we do not set. So if we were looking at these, I think we're trying to think more about, in these scenarios, how does it affect the users, and less so about any type of price of one versus the other, because Joule is gas, it's governance, it's fee sharing, and power-ups, maybe some other things that fall into the bucket of non-disruptive to the overall day-to-day gameplay that the Realm Power tokens are. So our focus is adding utility, making sure that we can find new ways to react to whatever market needs are out there and create a good experience. You guys set the price. The market sets the price. We don't try to manipulate it or set it. So long answer to the question and a little bit safe and hedgy there. But I would say my opinion on if their price is ever different, whether that's today or in the future, you can observe the difference and in isolation observe the impact on how that, a higher or lower price might affect the participant. But really, there's no need to compare them outright. A better comparison would say, hey, what about the different realm tokens? What if those got really different prices there, and there's a lot of like dispersion of prices? That would be interesting because they have similar utilities. So what's driving that? Maybe it's gas costs on the different chains. Maybe it's performance. Maybe it's ecosystem, or something else. So that would be a discussion to be like, if these are like sister tokens and have similar utility, what might be driving the difference? Whereas Jewel versus these, they're totally different, and they have different impacts if they're high or low. Bolon, do you think I hit every part of that question without getting in trouble?
I believe so, yeah. You want to do it again? I got another one for you that'll be a little hedgy.
Yay.
Are we happy with the current Jewel burn rate, or do you think it should be lower or higher?
Oh man. Current Jewel burn rate. Do I think it should be lower or higher? This is a dangerous one. So I'm gonna just say, what is it right now? 50%? Is that right? On
What's
the
that?
DFK chain?
The
amount
gas?
of
Yeah.
gas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, 50% is pretty awesome. I will just say that is a half of the whole, and that is a significant number. If we were to look at other burn rates, that in the market that we're in, we've introduced a number of burn options already in the game. We have token offerings right now that if people have forgotten about them, go check those out. I think there still are Gen Zeros getting rewarded there every, 2 or 4 weeks. You can burn liquid or locked tokens there for equal entries. If you forgot about that one, go check that out. Dark summoning on burning NFTs. We have a locked token kind of fee. What was the word that we used? Delay. No, there's a better word for that. No, being able to like summon with locked tokens. Fee deferment, deferred fees.
Yeah.
Yeah, not locked token utility. Deferred fees there. So always thinking about burning, and in our tokenomics meetings, probably weekly, if not every other week, this topic comes up, and we are still thinking about other ways that we could increase burn. This question was specifically on Jewel. I think when it comes to Jewel, I'll just say that having a larger than any other allocation of gas bucket be dedicated to burn speaks for itself. If it should be higher in the future or lower, don't know at this point, but I feel like it's significant. That was intentional from the beginning, and I think it's been working out. Other parts of the game could have different burn things introduced, and we're working to see where that's like a balance of helpful and not overly disruptive from what we had in the past. Was that hedgy enough, Bolon?
Yes, I like it. Thank you. No, I think both of those questions you did answer as well, which I really appreciate. But yeah, definitely topics we got to watch ourselves on. All right, let's see. Next question. We're coming back to Hubert. Any thoughts on the vision for the DFK gold token with mini sinks being added in already and more to come? Do we foresee a time in the future where an equilibrium is reached between burned and minted? Or conversely, do we see gold inflation as a feature and not a bug, keeping gold cheap for playability purposes?
I mean, at the moment there aren't as many mechanics that burn gold as I would like. It's just kind of a matter of needing to get more features out. But have been planning to have many of the new features coming out in gameplay to have some form of gold used as well. So as those things get added and people do them, I think that the hope would be that there would be some sort of equilibrium reached. Having it be just purely inflationary forever, I don't think is the best design approach. And I don't. That was never really the intent. It was meant to be kind of a balance between the gathering classes or not classes, but the gathering quests, and then using what you gathered to do things. So, which is why, like with potions, there's a gold cost in addition to the other ingredients being used. And so that's one of the probably the biggest things that I'm looking forward to is just once we get PvP going and people are participating and using potions, that should be a pretty big draw on those resources. And it's kind of hard to quantify exactly how much of a draw that will be. So a lot of it is kind of a set it and see and see if we need to make adjustments as we go. But I guess to the overall point of the question of either it being something that reaches an equilibrium point or not, I think the goal is for it to reach an equilibrium point.
Awesome. Thank you much, and don't go anywhere. I got more for you. Has the team considered a sacrifice mechanic to where multiple heroes could be sacrificed to improve the stats or rarity of another? So not through summoning, but directly into another hero.
That has been something that has been a point of discussion before. We've discussed a few different things as far as hero burns, and an idea like that was one of them. So yes, we have considered it. ...
Still don't go anywhere. Are we planning to let heroes die, like permanently burned during PvE or PvP?
I would like it if we did that. I don't. That's not to say that it'll happen, but that is something that I've been a champion for. But it wouldn't be like on everything though. If we did do it, it would be clearly marked as more dangerous content than other content if we did that.
Absolutely. Yes. No, that's a great plug, and I'm just going to say it again for people not listening. Anything that has the chance of permanently burning your NFT will be specifically labeled and disclaimered and warned. You will not go into it without knowing. Let's see. I got another one for you. When item crafting goes live, do we plan to add new drops, or can we expect for current items to have utility in crafting? And I'm going to add, or both.
I think a both answer is the most likely result. I think definitely we could use what exists now, but we'll also want to have things that are like PvP exclusive, or not PvP, PvE exclusive items, maybe even PvP exclusive things that would also go into crafting. So those would be new as well, but I do think it'd be a mixture.
Thank you. Let's see. Will heroes be tradable in the Bazaar? I mean, I guess I'll just at launch the Bazaar will support ERC20 and ERC1155 tokens. They will not support NFTs at the time. That seemed easy, but if anybody has anything they want to add, feel free.
Yeah, I guess I'll just say that the Bazaar contract is more focused on volume than on like with NFTs. It's an NFT market. You're more like looking at the particular details of each token itself. So that does require a more involved UI. So I think we'll likely continue to have separate markets for NFT types of tokens versus the ERC20s and 1155s.
Thank you. All right, let's see. How much has the team integrated AI into our current processes, whether that's in coding with copilots or thinking about using AI to enhance NPCs so they have more dialogue, etc.? So really, anybody who wants to talk about that. Fox is actually, I think, the biggest AI supporter on the team, and of course, he's not here.
Yeah, I know Fox uses Copilot. He's almost managed to talk me into it. I'm just cheap, so I didn't want to pay the monthly fee, but I'm about to try it. I know we've got some other Chat GPT uses on the team, which I'll let other people talk about. But yeah, definitely the AI assists coding tools are really cool.
Nice. All right, let's see. One more for Dreamer. Is there a term contract between Wisdom Gaming and Kingdom Studios? If the build out of PvP was completed before the contract ends, provided there is one, would the team reallocate the Wisdom team to other build outs of the game? I will add a note real quick before I stop talking for Dreamer that I don't think the build out really ever ends. Go ahead, Dreamer.
Yeah, so I mean, there's ongoing collaboration that started October last year, and since start in less than a year, I think scope has changed a lot. Our initial plan was a lot different than what we ended up evolving into to be, I guess, what was more of like a publicly initial plan with the combat testing grounds. And then even then, we're continuing to collaborate. Wisdom offers a lot of really awesome services, and it has some really good talent in there, and they have some good folks that are contracted with them. And we're always going to be looking for ways to enhance our overall builds and also extend our overall network of those contributing, whether it's within the Wisdom offering or others. But what Bolon just mentioned, combat really has potentially unlimited application, and we're always going to need those that we trust that do good work to work with us on that. So this is really in the Beetle, Hubert, Magnus, Second Best Dad realm in the game committee. But so far we've liked the various value-added inputs, and they've shifted up and down over time as well. So we would continue to look at our ability in the market and the phase of development we're in, and what they can offer, and do our best with that collaboration and partnership. So there's no immediate plan to be like, once this is done, gone forever. But there's also no reason why either side might say, high five, we've accomplished 8 things more than we planned to initially. I think we're taking it day by day, week by week, month by month, and making sure that we're building what we're planning on. And as new things come on the roadmap, we'll adjust as necessary. But if this question is asking if there's a cutoff date or end date to the collaboration, I'll just say there is none currently. And I don't know what feature or being complete or started would introduce that need. But we're open to all options regardless of where that goes. Beetle,
Nice.
Do you have anything to add on that one? I know this is more your realm, and others on the call, but I just wanted to pause to see if I reflected kind of your opinion and everything well, if you had anything to add or correct.
Yeah, no, I think you nailed it pretty close. We're gonna continue pushing forward on those features, and I think the initial release of the combat testing ground was super useful on our journey towards full PvP, PvE, and I think we're going to continue leveraging their team and our team as much as we can to push that forward.
Nice. Thank you both, gentlemen. Much appreciated. We are going to go ahead and call it there for this week. We had a few more questions roll in that we will carry over for next week and snag those to start with. But since we dove straight into questions today, I wanted to take a few minutes and give everybody an opportunity to say whatever's on their mind. So first and foremost, Beetle Dude, How you doing?
Oh, you know, Bolon. I'm just here. I'm just here to write down the tasks that I have heretofore not done yet.
Uh,
But yeah, I guess I'll say that the reason some of these things are outstanding is probably because I'm spending too much time working on cool stuff like combat. So I guess I apologize for that. But there's just so much to do and so much fun stuff coming. It's a lot more exciting than fixing bugs, I guess. I'll say. Uh, but I can do both. I'll do both.
anything going on? Anything exciting you want to share?
They won't let me do it. They won't let me do it. I'll just share it on the website soon and show everyone.
There we go. That'll
Yeah.
work.
No, we got lots of exciting stuff in the works. Trying to get some interim stuff up and out for people to enjoy, and I think people will be excited about it. Just a matter of time. Wowie gets it.
Nice.
I'm ungovernable. Don't tell me what to do.
So true. So true. Uh, let's see. Magnus, anything you wanted to talk about or share?
Sure thing, yeah. I'm definitely going to sound like a broken record, but I'm also working on a combat-related contract that I can't share too many details around just yet. After that's wrapped up, which is going to be pretty soon, I'll be moving back to gas optimization, which I know everybody is very eager to see released. I'll be starting with Quest Core on that primarily. And then I do have another kind of update to share around DFK chain. We've been kind of looking at a few other providers outside of the existing one we're using, just to kind of like spread the validators out across different tech stacks and whatnot. And we've been working with Nirvana, and we do have one node over there now. So very excited to kind of start shaking up things a bit with the validators and just improving the reliability and decentralization there.
Thank you, good sir. Hubert, anything you want to share?
Yeah, I also have the broken record problem right now, but we're getting closer on being able to release the Scholar skill tree or skill codex, and just working on all of the things. The Bazaar contract is starting to shape up really nicely. Working through all of the UI, and that's a pretty complicated thing because we have to track so many different tokens and all these orders that are going in and out, and so making sure that's all working is a challenge, but we're tackling that and getting closer, and excited for the content that we're working on right now, getting into everybody's hands, but yeah, nothing too major I can say at the moment. So.
Thank you, good sir. I will add, because I forgot to mention, if you just never get tired of my voice, which I fully understand, I will be doing a podcast a Twitter space with Project 12 tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern. So that is, hard math, 18 hours from now. So all the details are on Twitter if you would like to check them out. Also, I believe Avalanche has updated or uploaded all of our speaking engagements from Avalanche Summit. So I will double check that, and if they have, I'll snag links and throw in an announcement with those as well as for everyone to see and enjoy for anybody who's missed them. With that, over to Dreamer.
Oh no, is this just talking? I was
Yep, whatever you want.
chatting. The Ronald McDonald double flute playing man we need to like ban the Ronald McDonald double flute thing. Yeah, I can't. It's my nightmare. Okay. Yeah. So distraction. There's a lot of things we keep saying we can't talk about, but there's just a lot in the works, and I'm really excited about the next 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, because a lot of these things are going to kind of come out quickly in that time frame. Either talking about them or seeing kind of some ROI from work that has been put in. So I can just say, the team here is talking about answering things of certain features that we'd love to build. We're also hard at work on really awesome things, not only related to combat, but other stuff. So I'm just proud of the team. It's a hard market to work in. Say this a lot, but you see a couple of the same faces up here. There's a lot of others behind the scenes that just are amazing people. It's a hard job to wake up, work at home, and deal with everything else at home, look at the market, see what's happening there, look at what we have to do, and just work our butts off. I've never worked with a group that is so willing and interested to create content, disagree, and find solutions, have respect, have fun, and keep putting stuff out. So the comments that people share on Twitter and other places about, the team working hard and these AMAs where we put the time and effort to connect with you guys and answer the good questions that are put forth and to take them to heart and adjust things as we go. Just feels good. It's good, positive energy in a part of the world and industry life cycle that there's not always good, positive energy. So thank you guys, and thank you everybody here. I'm also really happy that we got Winston Jazz Hands up here. Somebody suggested it in the chat, and he's probably Bullen. I'm guessing you're gonna give your comments next, and then to Winston. I don't know the plan of things, but he's one of many that we don't get to hear from a lot. But I personally, I don't know how much he's gonna say, so I just wanted to give him a little shout out. Testing is a very hard thing to do because you kind of have to understand everybody's job and what they've done without being there shadowing them. One incredible thing about TFK that's noted is our ability to put stuff out and ship stuff frequently, ship big things, small things. And, I've observed that not a lot of horrible things have happened after launch I'll just say period. I won't say anything else. And, a lot of that is from our testers, and our main lead tester is Winston. He does an incredible job. He finds a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of other people that contribute as well on the team, and I think from our moderators and others. And honestly, we're all kind of real-time testing some of the stuff like combat. So testing and improving is huge. I don't want to undersell it. And I'm glad that he's on here today. So Bolon, whoever's next, that's great. But I did want to give that little kind of lead up and shout out to awesome Winston, because we're lucky we have him. When I say we, I think everybody here that participates and partakes in the features that go live, we're lucky we have a testing process, and Beetle leading that ship and everybody else working towards it, and Winston keeping us, I guess, honest and finding the things that we need to improve on.
Couldn't agree more. And actually, with that, we are going to go to Winston for a 30-minute speech and then closing us out with a Polish.
30 minutes. Thanks for the kind words, streamer. I guess, yeah, we got time, right? I'll rant about something. Hey, everybody. I'm super grateful to be part of the team, and really happy to be working on this project and get to talk to all of you every day and get to know some of you. And thank you for sticking with us and growing with us through so many challenges. And there's so much good stuff coming. It's I wish we could just tell you about it and then you'd forget. And then we could just tell you about it every time, and then you'd forget, and we could just still surprise you with it. So get excited, and I hope you're all staying really bullish.
Bullish.
Thanks, everybody.
Winston, thanks everybody. Peace.